Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. We're super excited to have you all with us and hope you're doing well. We've got some awesome manufacturing workflow tips to share with you today. But before we dive into those, we are going to give some other people just some time to join the webinar. But while we wait, we'd love to hear from those of you that are with us today. So feel free to share where in the world you're joining us from today in the question section of your GoToWebinar panel that you'll see somewhere on your screen. On our end, myself and Nelson are joining from our homes in Toronto, Canada, as we continue to work remotely during COVID-19. And across the border, we have Dale joining us from SOS Inventory from his home in Texas, USA. So we're just going to give people a few minutes to kind of share where they're joining from, as well as join the webinar itself. So it looks like we've got some people from Iowa, Rockville, let's see, Pittsburgh, New York, a lot of Americans here, Denver, awesome, Oklahoma, New Hampshire, Arizona, love to see it. Another New York, that's great. I wonder if I'll have any Canadians join us today. New Jersey, New Mexico, love to see it. Nova Scotia, okay, that's our first Canadian, love to see it. And we've got someone from Dubai, that's awesome. So quite the international audience we have here today. Toronto, that's great. So it looks like the majority of us are here now. So we'll kick things off with some introductions and then get into the actual content we have prepared for you guys. So to start, I'll introduce myself. I'm Elish McCann. I'm the Content Marketing Manager here at Method CRM. And I'm going to be your host and moderator for today. And I'm super excited to get into how all of you guys can leverage workflow automation to drive higher efficiency across your business. Next, we have Nelson, who is the Director of Sales and Professional Services here at Method. With over a decade of experience helping small manufacturers scale, I'm personally really looking forward to the insights that he'll be sharing with us today. And last but not least, we have Dale, who is a Senior Executive and Training Manager at Saddle Oak Software, who, for those of you that don't know, that's the company behind SOS Inventory, the highest rated inventory and manufacturing solution for QuickBooks Online users, which I know a lot of you guys are today. As the first employee at SOS Inventory, Dale will be sharing with us how their solution has empowered thousands of companies to streamline their manufacturing workflows. And now that we're all acquainted, we can get started. So my first question for today is, what are your tips when it comes to increasing manufacturing productivity? Nelson, can you kick us off?
Yeah, thanks for that wonderful introduction, Elish. When it comes to increasing efficiency, my number one thing is I think there's a lot of potential when it comes to giving your employees access to the information they need when they need it. And what that means is whether that's a warehouse worker being able to get up-to-date shipment details from their phone or a sales rep looking to create and send estimates on the go, you need to make sure you have systems in place that support and enable these types of workflows. Otherwise, your team's going to run into roadblocks that leave them waiting for the information they need to do their jobs. And in manufacturing, you definitely want to try and avoid those bottlenecks when possible. Another benefit of centralizing your data like this is that it enables teams to collaborate and it helps everyone focus on the business goals. So Dale, take us through what your thoughts are on the manufacturing side of things.
Thanks, Nelson. For the manufacturing business to be successful, you need to have a joined up company. And to create a joined up company, you need joined up systems, sharing data that's only been entered once, delivering one version of the truth. To expand on this comment, manufacturing companies come to SOS when they have moved to QuickBooks Online and find that its stock and manufacturing facilities are minimal to non-existent. As a result, many companies start to build out functionality in spreadsheets as a supplement, and they're finding those spreadsheets just don't cut it for them. So what this is doing is just creating little islands of information, departmentally owned subsystems, not joined up, not synchronized. And as a result, you now have many versions of the truth, and agile decision making is compromised. It's not uncommon in these circumstances to have several conflicting stock on hand figures due to timing of transactions, data entry errors. So when coming to SOS as an alternative, and SOS Inventory does solve this dilemma, it offers a fully integrated manufacturing in both discrete and complex styles, as well as an operational stock system that is designed for the subject matter expert. It is also easy to implement and intuitive to use, but I may be a little biased on that. Best of all, it's just like what you were looking for, Nelson mentioned, access from anywhere at any time.
Great. Yeah, these are all great productivity hacks I'm hoping our audience can implement today. I forgot to mention during our intro, if our audience has any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to share them the same way that you shared where you're joining us from today, and we'll get to them at the end. Cool. Now that we've got that housekeeping out of the way, we'll move on to our next question. So Nelson and Dale, I'd love to hear how you suggest manufacturers foolproof each stage of their supply chain workflow.
Thanks, Elish. Yeah, I think as manufacturers, our sort of common goal is to always reduce the chance of something going wrong at as many points of the supply chain as possible. And the way we do this is we'll have regular checks and balances in place to stop mistakes before they happen. And whether that means requiring your production staff to check equipment regularly or getting a second set of eyes on every order before shipping, these safeguards really ensure that you get it right the first time and that you don't end up having to reproduce any products, which will eventually cost you more money. And while implementing these kind of processes will help improve your manufacturing process as a whole, you're never going to completely foolproof every aspect of the supply chain. And that's likely because you have humans helping with some of those elements. And so when you're ever working with humans, especially at a manufacturing level, it's important to always have a contingency plan in place. So when things do go wrong, we know how to react to that. And contingency plans could be something as simple as a list of additional suppliers or alternative raw materials that you can use during production. And these will ensure that you stick to your manufacturing schedule when things don't go as planned. Workflow automation is something we're going to talk about a little bit later on, but it's another way to make sure you reduce the likelihood of things going wrong as you try to eliminate that risk of human error. And I'm curious to see what Dale thinks about what the goals are for manufacturing and how he plans or how he suggests we should foolproof our processes.
Thanks, Nelson. The goal of manufacturing, as far as I see it, is whether it be for discrete or process manufacturing, is to produce the best possible product while still maintaining the insight into the process lifecycle. There's still that human condition, as you mentioned, that's involved with the use of any software. Software is not infallible. It only does what the human tells it to do. So doing what you can to optimize the workflow and integrity of the data is extremely important. So it is imperative for manufacturers to see where the raw materials reside and to constantly know what their stock levels are so they can modify the manufacturing if needed to adjust materials as well as resources. As you can see here in this build, you have that quick view as you're going through the transaction for what's on hand, what's on your sales orders, what do you need for this manufacturing process, so you can guarantee that you have enough to do the work. So being able to see who the best vendor is to get some products if you need it is also a key outlook as well, and this will help you with that. So finally, the one other point I want to make is it also helps to have a strong reporting structure in place to be able to monitor your manufacturing at any time, as you can with our production reporting. And SOS provides this extensive reporting across the board to allow for the operations team to make decisions on the fly.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Thanks for sharing, guys. Now, next, I'm curious about what advice you can share when it comes to sourcing materials and managing vendors.
Thanks, Elish. An approach I'm seeing and that I really sort of have come to love is a value-focused supplier relationship management. And while some of you may have heard this term before, I'm going to quickly just do an overview for those of you who are hearing it for the first time today. Traditionally, manufacturers and their suppliers are in this constant state of negotiation around things like production times and price. Sorry if you hear my baby in the background, she gets really excited about manufacturing sometimes. And while this does mean you're technically working with these vendors and suppliers very often, it doesn't always mean you're working on a shared goal. Obviously, everyone is looking for an outcome that benefits their organization, but working towards a shared goal is very important when you're working together with your suppliers. And that's what value-focused supplier relationship management means. It focuses on creating these win-win scenarios for both manufacturers and suppliers. And it's a shift from viewing your suppliers as opponents to more partners that are going to help service your customers and help you manufacture the goods that are going to end up in your customers' hands. And by focusing on the value and you produce when you're collaborating, you're going to be able to work more efficiently with these individuals, and you're going to be able to trust that you're always getting the best service and the best price. Because something that's always in the back of our minds is, how do we make sure we're getting the right price, or how do we make sure we're not being nickel and dimed when we don't need to be? When choosing your suppliers, you want to invest in building some of these strong relationships long term, and you want to shop around for those who are a fit. You know, vendors who have a deep understanding of the type of product you manufacture really help to sort of build that bond between your two organizations. You know, if you're managing some kind or manufacturing some kind of fuel or lubrication materials, suppliers who understand the needs of your customers or the needs of the product you're creating really go a long way to making sure your relationships are strong, because you don't find yourself repeating why you need a certain product or why this particular element isn't working. Um, Dale, what are your thoughts on sort of managing vendors, suppliers, all that jazz?
So when it comes to managing vendors, it can definitely be a very challenging process, as I've seen with a lot of our clients that use SOS. It's always good practice to talk to as many vendors as you can to understand what they can do to provide you the materials that you need. And factors to take into consideration are not only the cost of the product, that what you're getting from them, but the quality. Is it going to meet your needs? And when you produce your product, is it going to be the best you could produce as well? Uh, be aware that, and this is a corny statement, but it's always been said that the lowest bidder is not always the best choice. Sourcing the products is definitely a key. It's definitely important, but so is being able to know the vendors you choose, making sure that they're really strong working relationships with you. Just like you mentioned, Nelson, thank you for that. You want the relationship to be reliable, trustworthy, and have that commitment to maintain the contact that you have with them. And that's not just the commitment of being able to source their products, but as you're going through the process with the purchase orders and the receiving of the goods, that they communicate all their intentions and give you that information that you need for the shipments. So one of the keys I've learned is to have a plan with them for that smooth communications. It is not just sending a purchase order and waiting for the materials. It is being able to know you have each other's backs, and that you get notified when your goods are on the route, when they're going to be with you and expected in your warehouse. So being able to keep track of all your vendors is a plus, and using both Method CRM and SOS inventory together, we help with that process inevitably.
Very interesting tips, guys, again, across the board. Thanks for sharing. Next, I'd like to shift our focus a little farther down the manufacturing funnel to inventory management. So, Nelson and Dale, what inventory management best practices do you recommend our audience today implements?
So today, I think a lot of inventory management processes in general don't leverage technology as much as they should. And as a result, there's always a lot of room for improvement, no matter how automated you are, for lack of a better word. Especially today with coronavirus and COVID-19 and the impact it's having on us across the board, I think manufacturers need to be able to take control of their inventory remotely anywhere in the world at any time. And this is a really important piece to making sure we're able to service our customers well and support our employees as well. And that's where cloud solutions like SOS Inventory come in handy, because through SOS, you're able to create workflows, access inventory quantities, review an item's cost history, track specific products and serial numbers. The list is really endless. But creating a digital process really helps to make sure that even if your team isn't in the warehouse. They're aware of what's going on behind the scenes. Another area of inventory management, which Dale talked about a little bit earlier on, was just the lacking of reporting and analytics as to what's going on the shop floor, what's going out to customers, what's in stock, what's selling well. And it's hard to get that understanding if you aren't asking those questions, and you do need tools to help you with that. And in particular, with Method CRM, people think about CRM as customer relationship, but we talked a little bit about vendors and vendor relationships as well. Method is really just a platform where you can manage a lot of this information and then disseminate it to different people. So when it comes to reporting, you can create inventory reports that help you gain insights into things like what's in stock, what products are performing well, what reorder points should we consider in the future. And using tools together like SOS and Method, not only does the business and the manufacturing workflow get better, but you're also scaling out your business, right? You can afford to hire someone and educate them on a system where you don't need to hold their hand throughout the entire cycle all the time. Dale, what are your thoughts on real-time inventory, and how important is that for you or your customers?
Thanks, Nelson. I think that real-time inventory management from anywhere by using any device is a game changer. It's definitely something that needs to be out there, especially when you're looking at products like ours, which are cloud-based applications, both Method CRM and SOS working together to meet the manufacturing needs of any company will reduce the day-to-day stress that most people feel in this high-tech, fast-paced business ecosystem, especially when you're using online apps. But controlling inventory is a key component to success. First and foremost, taking the time to ensure that your inventory is defined in detail with all the characteristics. It just takes a keen eye, but it will help ensure that success in the long run. And the reliability that you have with your quantity of materials on hand by establishing that strong reorder points. We have that in the max stock levels. Great start. And also the ability for someone to be notified when something needs to be reordered. Taking that one step further, having the ability for notifications again with items to when they reach these points. And you can see that a little bit on the screen that's showing now. And generate those timely purchase orders, lead times taken into consideration, all of that can be defined. And it is a must. A plus that SOS inventory has the ability to track an item's transaction history, and that's all from this screen that you're seeing here. You not only see in stock and what's available and where are they? Are they on sales orders? Are they on work orders? What's incoming on purchase orders? Everything is there to track both standard items, and even on the left, you'll see serialized inventory and lot inventory. We give you all that detail to be able to make sure everything is going to be a success. And when you start talking about serialized inventory for big ticket items, we even track warranties. You can define them, include them at the time of sale, and be able to support those customers anytime with both repair, manufacturing, replacements, anything. On the other hand, the manufacturers dealing in food-based products, chemicals, or medical supplies, and we have all three, you should have a full traceability. And from entry into the system, when the goods are delivered to you, and then all the way through delivery to the customers. To protect customers, the capability to find out products that are faulty, and they may want to return something, and track to who those same products went. And it could be components that are making up those items that you sell. Trace back through the manufacturing system to the originating vendor is a huge must-have. And it is something that our software accomplishes to eliminate the worry of any unknowns that may come up during the manufacturing process.
Thanks, Dale. These are some great insights on inventory management best practices that I'm really hoping our audience today will benefit from. Now, my next question is around order fulfillment. So, Nelson and Dale, what strategies have you seen particular success with when it comes to order processing and fulfillment?
Overall, I would say fulfillment is pretty manual. It's a time-consuming process for most manufacturers, which makes it really a perfect candidate for workflow automation. Just imagine For example, what your team could accomplish if things like printing packing slips and generating invoices happen behind the scenes while your employees were focusing their time on other initiatives that could help the business grow and scale and improve your bottom line. One of the customers that always comes to my mind when I think about order fulfillment is Eraser Bits, and what they do. They're led by Khalid, who is really passionate about automating his entire business, but he essentially manufactures t-shirts, mugs, any sort of prints on promotional materials. And as a clothing distributor, I think there are some real challenges when it comes to order fulfillment because the type of boxes you use have an impact on how much you pay for shipping, as how much your customer pays for shipping, but also you want to make sure how those goods can fit into there. And so the scenarios he often goes through is he'll have a customer who will purchase a mug, a t-shirt, and a sweater. And so what type of box, what is the volume of material that's going to be shipped to our customer? How do you calculate that? You can roll the t-shirt up really tight, you can put it in a bag. If there's a sweater, it's a little bit harder, but you can still fit that in a bag. If there's a mug, maybe we should consider putting it in a box. And these are some of the challenges that he used to have on the floor every single day. And so what we did through Method CRM and our no-code platform is we helped define some of these business rules that help him and his team identify what type of order should go in what type of package and how it should be shipped. And now Khalid is saving hundreds of hours of work every month and thousands of dollars in labor costs because there were people making these decisions. People sitting there saying, 2 t-shirts, okay, this box feels right sometimes. And then sometimes they add a sweater to it and they're like, okay, we need a larger box. And those costs just add up. And automation really helped to solve his problem there. And that's just one of the examples. Dale, I'm sure you have others that you can talk to for us.
Yeah, I can definitely relate this question back to inventory management as well, with the capability of handling the reorder points to make sure you have enough to fulfill your incoming orders. Always making sure you're ready for new orders through any channel, and whether it be any of our built-in integrations or using our API, it's definitely something that needs to be looked at. Reorder management includes the raw materials from vendors, yes, but you can also use that same capability to keep track of when things need to be manufactured. So you're always on top of the game for on-demand orders. You're not left out there in the cloud. Capabilities that we have, such as automated order processing to make things trigger some events so that things get done immediately, custom fields to give you some additional trigger information as well as expanded information on the forms, and alerts, email, cell phone, on the screen. They can be utilized to make the whole process more efficient, more effective, so you can get through that manufacturing, that fulfillment process. For example, one of our clients utilizes a distribution company for fulfilling their customer orders. They have orders coming in from all different points into SOS via direct integrations or the API. And as these orders come in, a sales order is created, and that triggers an event in the automated order processing rule that catches the order and can automatically create a shipment, and at the same time send out an email with the order to their distribution house to get the products out to the customer. So it gives them that efficiency where they don't have to process it one order at a time. To make it even more effective, the ability to accomplish partial shipping, because we do allow shipping from multiple warehouses on one order, definitely gives you that flexibility and capability to make sure that everything gets to the customer on time when you need it.
For sure. These recommendations totally make sense. We do have a question around landed cost. Nelson and Dale, do you guys have any suggestions for how manufacturers should best handle these? Can Method CRM and SOS inventory help in any capacity? Nelson, any thoughts you want to share?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that. So for those of you who are not sure what landed cost is or total landed cost, it's basically the sum of every expense that it's cost you or your company to fulfill to create a product, whether it's manufacture it and then fulfill that order, ship it, the costs with shipping, insurance with shipping. I mean, there are just so many subcategories that go into landed cost. It is something that's difficult to manage from a supply chain perspective if you don't have all of your information centralized. And so at Method CRM, we've worked with customers where we do manage the total landed cost throughout the production life cycle. And so depending on what your needs are, our system can definitely accommodate those needs that go beyond just the product cost and the shipping costs, but also things like what are the import fees that are associated or export fees associated with that item? Is there any risk with the transportation if we're shipping via airplane or ship? What is the cost of insurance, and what happens if the goods get destroyed or mishandled along the way? And so Method can definitely help you calculate, also keep track of total landed cost. And the reason why that's important is if you're not keeping track of that, how do you know you or your organization is profitable, right? And this is a really great way to see your profit per order and figure out, are you priced correctly? Are you selling correctly? Dale, do you have any thoughts on landed cost?
I do. Within our software, it's always going to be that issue of what is that final total cost of my product. We get that from customers all the time, and we do have landed cost capability within SOS inventory. So when you use that on our pro plan, our top plan, it will allow you to handle that freight cost, the taxes, any other service, VATs, whatever needs to be coming in as additional costs when receiving materials. It gets rolled into the product, the raw materials itself. So eventually, as you're going through the manufacturing process, you're still adding more labor fees, service fees at that point, and it's all building all the way through the process so that actual cost of that good when you're selling it is true to form. You can make sure that all the reporting is going to be good to give you that true value of your items once it goes out the door.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Thanks, guys, for taking that question. Now we're moving on to the last question that we have prepared for today's webinar before we dive a little bit deeper into Method CRM as well as SOS inventory. And then after that, we'll dive into some Q&A. So Nelson and Dale, my last question for you both is, how do you suggest manufacturers leverage workflow automation to drive a better bottom line?
Yeah, I mean, the short answer to that is the manufacturers really need to implement automated workflows or technologies everywhere and anywhere they can. Through automation, the future of manufacturing, or let me rephrase that. Automated workflows are the future of manufacturing, and I think they're going to be a do or die scenario for a lot of today's manufacturers. And I know that sounds a little bit dire, but with things like the cost of raw materials going up, skilled manufacturers getting harder to find, and the customers' demands increasing, manufacturers are pinned into a position to do more with less. And that's something we often hear in our space. And the key to success with this is harnessing automation, especially workflow automation. My recommendations for actually automating workflows might be a little bit biased here, as Dale mentioned earlier, but I'd say tools like Method CRM, SOS inventory, coupled together with QuickBooks, really all fit hand in hand to make sure you have a competitive edge over other manufacturers that may have larger budgets. Out of the box, a tool like Method CRM takes care of the pre-sales workflow, what it looks like for lead generation, supplier management, estimate creation. And then later on, as you work through that sales funnel, in comes SOS as a hero to help manufacturing companies streamline their workflows at the production and inventory management capacity. And then lastly, when the order has ready to be fulfilled and shipped, all of that information is flowing into QuickBooks, where then you could leverage Method again to take payment or use a customer portal and just complete the entire workflow end to end. Dale, what are your thoughts?
First of all, Nelson, thank you for that. You gave a really good intro into ours. But I am definitely going to agree with you on the points you just made for both software systems. The ease of use within a system and being able to automate those processes, giving you the tools to be able to make those workflows easier for the people in the company, make it a little more intuitive, make it so there's less chance of something going wrong in there, but also easing that ability for them to have to do a lot of hands-on detailed work. And that's the big point about software today. It's got to be flexible, able to mold to any workflow, and ours does. You can pretty much model anything within SOS, and I think you can as well, that any company has to offer, and it makes them successful in their day-to-day operations. But yeah, automation throughout the system is definitely a key.
Cool. Totally agree with your points there, Dale. Thanks so much. Now, as I said, that's about all the content that we do have prepared for you today. But before we jump into all the questions you guys are sending through, thanks so much for doing that. We do have some exciting free trial offers as well as discounts from both Method CRM and SOS Inventory. So I'll let Nelson kind of kick things off there.
Thanks, Elish. So the beautiful thing about Method, as we've talked a little bit throughout today's webinar, is that it really is as versatile as your business. Whether you're generating new business, processing orders, or managing vendors and customers, we're here to streamline every single element of your business to make sure it accommodates your manufacturing workflows. Together with QuickBooks, we improve the productivity, and really our focus is to eliminate that double data entry between what you would typically experience with a disconnected CRM and your QuickBooks file. And this is really great for anyone who is working and servicing customers directly, because they can access a lot of information that would traditionally be behind a wall of either a controller or a finance manager. The nice thing about Method as well is it doesn't only give you a CRM, it also helps you support your customers and vendors better through our online portals, which means that your suppliers or customers can do business with you 24/7 without your office being open. And all of that just flows back into QuickBooks, where tools like SOS and other apps.com integrators or integrations can leverage that information. About the offer today, really excited that everyone joined the webinar. If you do start a Method CRM trial today after the webinar, we're happy to extend a 25% discount on your first year of an annual prepaid subscription with us. We don't generally discount anything. It's not something we do, but I can guarantee that you're not going to find a lower price outside of today. Dale, on to you.
Thanks, Nelson. Well, SOS Inventory, when we give that beautiful capability of that advanced inventory, end-to-end workflow, as well as the manufacturing that's out there, both discrete manufacturing and process manufacturing. So SOS Inventory does provide a 2-week free trial without the need for entering your credit card. So you can try it risk-free, give it a thorough test. If it's right for you, which I know it will be, you'll be able to continue on with that. It synchronizes with QuickBooks Online. You can get that set up right away, so you get to see that real-time environment all the way through, get the full range of capabilities. But having that data, that inventory being managed in SOS, and us helping manage QuickBooks by sending those informational journal entries and adjustments up to the books, you're always going to know that you're going to be on track for that. Being biased again, we keep getting the question, is SOS Inventory easy to implement? And it's a resounding yes from our customers, since it's designed for subject matter experts. If they know the inventory field, it'll be very easy. Also, you have a connection to our stellar support team, and they are there for you either by email or 24/7 or via a toll-free number, and you get to talk to a tried and true technician. They're going to be there to help support you throughout the system. So whether your company is a manufacturing equipment, food, drinks, chemicals, pharma, just about any other product that needs to be built, our customers are raving about getting their system up and running quickly and effectively. So we are offering a 15% off for the lifetime of your subscription. We've got the code sitting on your screen. So when you go to start that trial, just go ahead and put in the Method 15 code at checkout. You have until November 30th to get there. Every subscription will start with that 14 days. We just want to make sure that you're happy with it, ready to go. And if you need more, just go to our website at www.sosinventory.com. You can sign up for a live demo with one of our sales representatives. You can compare our plans, and even take a look at other videos that are already posted out there for the major capabilities we offer. So I do appreciate your attendance here today and looking into SOS inventory.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Dale. These both sound like amazing tools and offers that I hope quite a few of our audience members today take advantage of. Next, we'll move on to some Q&A. So if you haven't already submitted your question that you'd like our manufacturing experts, Nelson and Dale, to answer today, please do that. We have a bunch in already. So we're going to start with a question from Juan. They're wondering, how do you forecast inventory in the future so we can ensure that inventory is available for sale? Is there a forecasting tool in SOS inventory?
So our forecasting is mostly built around the reorder structure, automated generation of reorder points based on your sales and your processes going through the history of all your items. For the forecasting of goods, we do have the ability to future date transactions, see how those transactions affect the inventory, and mostly looking at what your past transactions are will give you that insight into the future. And we have a lot of reports that you can do that with.
Great, thanks, Dale. Now, David is asking, is there a direct integration between Method CRM and SOS inventory?
So I can take that one. I don't know, Dale. Yeah.
No.
So right now, the way our systems work are through QuickBooks. So basically, you would manage the sales funnel inside of Method. When the estimate comes to fruition, Dale can talk a little bit about this as well, is that an estimate can kick off a workflow in SOS. So once that estimate is approved on the Method side, whether you need a customer signature or you need some sort of authentication, we handle that piece. That estimate will then flow into QuickBooks, where SOS can then take over for the order fulfillment. In regards to a direct integration, it is something our organizations are exploring, at least at a high level. If there was something you're in particular interested in seeing, please feel free to share that with us so we can take that back to our product teams as well. Dale, do you have anything to add there?
I know we are looking at the possibility of direct integration in the future, but yeah, right now QuickBooks as the middleman with both of our systems having a bi-directional sync, that data has a nice even flow all the way through, and that's what we were talking about earlier in the presentation, is making sure you have one continuous data flow, so there's no duplication of data, no duplication of effort, and it works all the way through the ecosystem for us.
Great, thanks, guys. Now, Kevin is wondering if he needs a discount code to get started with Method CRM and take advantage of the 25% off. And for Dale, he's also wondering if this discount that we're offering today on the SOS side is available for existing SOS inventory users. So Nelson, maybe you want to start?
Yeah, no, you definitely don't need a discount code. Our team will figure it out on our side. So just feel free to start a free trial and we'll link you up and make sure you have that offer on your trial. As something Dale mentioned, you will get a free 30-day trial, right? So we're interested in making sure we're the right solution for you and your organization. So leverage that, work together with our dedicated account manager, and we'll make sure you receive the benefits when you're ready to commit to our solution. Dale?
So when it comes to the discount code, I know for right now it is applying to new customers.
Perfect, great. And our next question is from David. He is wondering if SOS inventory only works with QuickBooks Online.
Yes, it's just the QuickBooks Online series, either Essentials, Plus, or Advanced. We don't work with the Quick Start, but we do work with those top three.
Great. And on that note of QuickBooks as well, if you really want to take advantage of Method CRM and SOS inventory, but aren't yet set up on QuickBooks, would love to give a plug to one of our Method partners, SBS Associates. They're on the call with us today, and they can help get you set up with QuickBooks. They're also Method CRM certified, as well as the same for SOS. So feel free to check them out as well. All right, and our next question is from Leslie. It's also about SOS inventory. So they're wondering, how does SOS inventory compare with QuickBooks Enterprise Platinum? Is there a list of what SOS inventory can and cannot do so that I can compare, and bring QuickBooks Enterprise clients into QuickBooks Online and SOS?
Very good question, Leslie. Thank you very much for that. For our intent, the way we designed SOS inventory is to give you the capabilities of up to QuickBooks Enterprise and even some things that they don't have. If you want to see a full list of our features, it is out on our website. Just go to the pricing page and you'll see a link for the feature comparison, and it gives you all the different capabilities of each one of our plans. But our goal is definitely to make sure we match, if not better, QuickBooks Enterprise.
Great, thanks, Dale. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to make a comment there. I think one thing as well, whenever you're considering switching inventory systems, there's always that hesitancy that you run into, especially if you're looking to make a big shift from something like QuickBooks Enterprise to online. There's a giant shift. A lot of customers, at least on the method side, have actually used us as sort of a gateway application into online. And so if there is hesitancy in any way of shifting, one thing you could explore is using Method on the enterprise side. It will give you a lot of the benefits of going online, but continuing to use that enterprise database in the background. And then as you explore that, if the team or your clients, if you have a really a client that you can experiment with or work together with, if they like the idea of moving to a SaaS application or to an online platform to help with their accounting and their business needs, really that has been successful on our side as well, because we have a number of clients who really love the enterprise desktop experience and really want to leverage that. And their fear of moving online is sometimes unjustified. And so there are ways for you to experiment and get those that client data online and get them exploring. So that way that level of comfort when you're trying to transition them over to QBO becomes a lot more of a back and forth discussion versus a very defensive discussion. Sorry, I didn't mean to hijack that topic there.
All good, Nelson, no worries. Cool, so we got a few more questions, guys. So the next one is from Michael. So they asked, regarding order fulfillment, what is the solution for automatically triggering the ship process for finished inventory items that contain multiple lots?
So taking that into SOS inventory, when you start looking at lot tracking of your inventory and you go to ship those products out, we currently don't have something that's automatically going to pull from a lot. That is something that is on our roadmap to get completed, but at this point, it does take human intervention to go in and actually select the different lots you need to pick from. But we are working on that.
Gotcha. Our next question is from Justin. They're wondering, how can SOS inventory push quantity available information into Method, or is this not a possibility?
Oh, I think Nelson and I are both going to be able to work on this one.
Yeah, so, I mean, I can go first. One is through our APIs, we have a couple of solutions where we've built just a refresh. And so essentially from within your method, you'll be able to look up an item, pull that information over directly from SOS through our API, and get that in real time when you need it. Dale, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more on your end.
Actually, that was exactly what I was going to talk about. We both have the API capability, and that's how we work with customers that we don't have a direct integration with at this moment in time, is we share the API information so that data can be pulled, put into the opposing system, and get that sharing back and forth as needed. So yeah, definitely the way to go.
Great. And our next question is from Jacqueline. They're wondering if it's possible to set a price for certain manufacturing products in SOS inventory, and if you can adjust the price during shipment.
So for the manufacturing cost, that's going to be whatever is the value of the raw materials, the services and such is going to be rolled into that finished product. So when it's being shipped, it's going to pull it based on the valuation method, whether it be weighted average or first in, first out. So you won't be able to adjust that cost at that moment in time. If you have a particular product that you want to have a specific cost on and you know you need to adjust that, we do have the ability in serialized inventory to have the value of that serial item maintain its cost through the system. So then in that manufacturing transaction that's going to build that serialized inventory item, you would adjust the components there, and that's going to roll into that finished product. So then when you pull that product by the serial number, that exact value comes out.
Great, thanks, Dale. And our next question is from Stacy. They write in, I know SOS Inventory offers a certification program, but does Method?
So Stacy, great question. As of right now, we do offer a certification program for our partners. And so if you are an accountant who is recommending apps or is working with integrating QuickBooks Online for some of your customers or clients, we can definitely help you down the certification path. If you're looking to be a user, that is something we are exploring in the future throughout our platform. However, there isn't anything that's available yet. If there was something you're looking for in particular, don't hesitate to just send us another message and we'll make sure to catalog that and share that with our education team here.
Thanks, Nelson. We've got another method-centric question here from Shane. So they're wondering if they can use Method with their tablet and their phone.
Yeah, absolutely. Method was designed with mobile first in mind, knowing that very often, especially today, we need information on the go and remotely. And so you can use it on a tablet, you can use it on a phone for a variety of different offerings and resources we have. For example, we are working on a remote services app where a service individual, whether they're a landscaper or a snow cleaner, could go to a client site, have them sign off or agree to a job being completed, and then have that flow into QuickBooks as an invoice when they've approved that estimate or that the work was completed. So yes, mobile first, we do just about everything that your business needs. So if you're interested in learning more, just send us another message.
Great. Thanks, Nelson. Our next question is from Paul. They're wondering if lead time changes for a supplier, if there's any way to adjust the program through a PO number or something else to do a manual or automatic change for their production team. I feel like this one might be a little bit more geared towards SOS.
So for our system, we do have lead times in the items definition. It's for informational use for the most part. On our Pro plan, though, it helps deal with adjusting your reorder points, but it's just to looking at those items histories and be able to make sure that the raw materials are there for the manufacturing process. So it's part of the calculation for the reorder.
Great, thanks, Dale. And Nelson, we have another question regarding the partner program from Barry. So they wrote in, I am a pro advisor for SOS Inventory. Does Method have a similar scheme?
Yes, absolutely, Barry. I think it's method.me/partners. You can read all about the program. Join us. You'll have a dedicated success manager who will take you through what Method is, how to talk about it, how it can be used by your clients if you have a client in mind. And we also have a certification program that comes along with that. So yeah, method.me/partners, and we'll make sure to follow up with you on where you can sign up and how you can sign up as well after today's call.
Great, thanks. And we have another question from John. They're wondering if you need to use Method in order to also use SOS Inventory, or if you can just use QuickBooks Online. And they're also wondering what are the advantages of using Method CRM in conjunction with SOS Inventory.
Yeah, I'll take this one first. So Method and SOS can be used independently as long as you have QuickBooks Online or a version of QuickBooks Desktop for Method users. Obviously, we work better together, but if you want to use us separately, that's okay too. And so, sorry, I forgot the second half of that question, Elish. You got to help me here.
Yeah, no problem. It's what I'm here for. So John was just wondering, what are the advantages of using Method CRM in conjunction with SOS Inventory?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and maybe Dale can talk about it later on. But when you think about Method, we're always just focused on the customer vendor experience, the communications, the back and forth. And so very often in today's discussion, we had scenarios where you may be negotiating back and forth with your suppliers, But there's no history of that conversation. A lot of that generally happens within email, or maybe if you're lucky, you'll have an actual document that is a contract or some sort of agreement. But very often a CRM is nice to have to keep track of that information before the manufacturing process kicks off with your suppliers. When it comes to your customers, as you're working through estimates and you're revising those estimates, you can actually work with Method to send those estimates to your customers and get approvals directly into the system. And so what that means is you're able to send out multiple estimates without having that information clog up your QuickBooks file, and only have the final estimate that was approved by your customers flow into QuickBooks. The nice thing then is then you can kick off a variety of workflows in SOS for your manufacturing process. At the end of that, and I'm just skipping over that lightly, Dale could talk about it a little bit more. He's the expert. But at the end of it, when it comes to receiving payment and communicating with your customers, that final invoice is available in QuickBooks Online, and you can send that notification through Method and work with, I think we have around 20 or 30 different payment gateway vendors. And so you can work together with them to receive payment, coordinate delivery, and sort of communicate shipment and all that stuff through our customer portals, which is incredibly powerful tool. And I'd love to demo that to you at some point if you're not already a Method user. Dale, is there anything you'd want to add there?
So yeah, and I do believe that for your software, you definitely keep track of the vendors and the customers a lot better than we do, and you have a lot more information, and that's a benefit of having that up front to be able to get an order pushed through QuickBooks into us, so we could take it from there. Because once that proposal, that estimate arrives finally in SOS, we can automatically have it generate a sales order, and then that acts as a hub for any purchasing of raw materials, or setting up a work order to schedule the manufacturing, to get all these processes through to the point where you can finally go in through the shipping, the fulfillment of it. And then that gets passed back up as the invoice that at that point will come back to you for your half of the process as well. But it's that overall rounded experience where it will definitely give you that benefit of having the best of both worlds, the CRM style capabilities as well as the manufacturing.
For sure. Thanks, Dale. Next, we have a question from Bianca, actually about Method CRM's portals. So they're wondering if, Nelson, you could elaborate on kind of how you can use the portals for both suppliers as well as customers when it comes to order fulfillment and processing, and if there's any potential to apply certain parameters so that it doesn't always instantly sync over to QuickBooks, the information within the portals.
Yeah, definitely. So a couple of workflows that come to my mind is, for example, you may be, working with multiple vendors to either get bids, or working with multiple vendors to get pricing on certain products or elements. And something that we've done with some of our existing customers is they use our portal as almost a bid portal, and they would essentially send out requests for pricing, or requests for how much would this cost if we were buying in bulk, and their vendors would actually log into the portal, submit the bids, and then you'd be able to revise that within the system. That's on the vendor side. On the vendor side, you could also see POs. So if there's a history of POs, or if you need to send POs over to your vendors, you can do that through our portal. So that way they're notified, and if they lose a PO, or if they need you to resend it, if you do a lot of business together, they now have a resource which allows them to pull that information in real time when they need it, without a member of your team having to send that email or sending them an update. When it comes to limiting information that they can see, you can definitely configure that. And there's multiple layers that we offer to that. I'm not going to jump into all of them, but one that I mentioned earlier is that within the CRM, you can control what information flows into QuickBooks and when it's ready to go to QuickBooks. And I find that's probably the biggest benefit we have, is we act as sort of a gateway to stop information from clogging up your QuickBooks file, whether that's on the PO side or the estimate side when you're working with customers. All of that is configurable, and we can control that. Hope that answers that question.
Great. Thanks, Nelson. Now we are coming up to the top of the hour here, so just for the sake of time, I'm only going to take a few more questions. If we don't get to your question today, don't worry, we'll reach out via email and respond to it as best we can. So the next one we have is from Barry, and they're wondering if they create an estimate or quote in Method, if it will have real-time access to SOS inventory pricing.
That's a great question, and I think I'll ask Dale a question before I answer that. Dale, so when customers update pricing in SOS, how does that reflect on the QuickBooks side of things?
That is considered a change to the items. So those items get synchronized back up to QuickBooks. So the sales price is always going to match on both our system and on QuickBooks, and inevitably should flow up to you.
And there's your answer. I think as long as we're working together with QuickBooks Online and all systems are up to date, all systems will see those changes reflected throughout in near real time. I say near real time because, you know, it could be 5-10 minutes in some cases, but yeah, the sales price should be the same throughout all 3 systems.
Great, thanks guys. And this is going to be one of our last questions. It's from Shane, and they're wondering if you add a vendor into Method, will it show up in SOS inventory?
Yes.
So a vendor in Method, depending on what your needs are, in Method, you also have the option to do vendor leads. These aren't necessarily vendors that you do business with yet, but you may be investigating or working a relationship with them. Once you approve that vendor to be a vendor and it flows into QuickBooks, just like our previous comment, that information is going to flow right into SOS.
Great.
Definitely.
Anything to add, Dale? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just saying definitely. That's exactly the flow that's going to be happening.
Okay, awesome. So this is going to be our last question for today. It's from Dawn. They're wondering if on the purchase order side, if you can change the ship date globally. I'm assuming this is kind of in relation to different time zones. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dawn. And they're also writing in if factories need different lead times, how does the system calculate the lead time needed to place a reorder with a purchase order?
So for our system, for the lead times, as I said, it will be something that's added into the reorder points. If there's something that's specific about that order to change the lead time, or having it for a particular vendor, we don't have that capability right now, but it's very easy to suggest a change to SOS right from within our system, and we'll work on that to be something for a future release.
Great, thanks guys. So with that, we're going to wrap up. Thank you again all for joining us, and a huge thank you to our panelists, Nelson and Dale. For those of you who did find the webinar valuable and would like to share it with clients of yours or coworkers, we will be sending out a recording of the presentation today, as well as the slide deck. So make sure to check your inbox tomorrow morning for that. To wrap up, again, please feel free to take advantage of the awesome offers that both Method CRM and SOS Inventory are offering. We both have great support teams if you need them, as well as great partner communities who can help you out along the way. For example, Ed is joining us from SMB Partners. He's just one of our great partners, as well as with Paulette from SBS Associates. Sorry, a mouthful there. But yeah, so there's lots of resources and stuff for you once you come into our ecosystem. For now, though, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Until next time.